gentlemen, especially the ladies, welcome to another episode of It's a Man's World. I'm Dario.
I'm Naik.
Forever Jason.
And tonight's topic, guess what it is? Child molestation. Yes, we're gonna go there, people. So stay tuned, grab some popcorn, get your kids, and sit back and watch, and we're gonna educate you about this very, very dangerous and important topic.
Stay tuned.
Every year I'm searching for number one.
Excuse me, sir. Can I help you?
Yes, I found my number one. I'll take it.
The latest looks and the newest trends for home fashion is number one at Living Spaces, located on Old Pound Road.
But it would mean nothing without a woman or a girl.
And we're back. It's a man's world, and I'm Naik.
Jason is hosting.
And as we alluded to earlier, our topic for the night is child molestation. Now, it's a very serious topic, and your contribution tonight will be very, 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 very valuable to us. But let's start off the show. Dario?
Yeah.
Child molestation.
Yeah, this is...
What do you want to start off by saying about this particular topic?
This is... Now, usually I'm the, the jovial a-hole of the group, but there's no joking.
No, really?
Yeah, that's what I've been told. But
We did not know.
But there's no joking with this topic. You hear about it all the time in every walk of life, in almost every society, every country. There's this thing, and it's a broad topic because you might just think of unprotected infants or young children who can't speak for themselves, but it ranges. It goes all the way up to teenagers. It's tough. Mm-hmm. It's tough. And if you watched our previous episode about sex, I said talk to your kids about sex, and this is one of the reasons why. Mm-hmm. Because they need an avenue to come and talk to somebody if they're being molested. Mm-hmm. Now, if you've never spoken to your kids about this, they may not ever come and say anything to you. They might be getting molested by an uncle, an aunt. It's not just the men. Don't be fooled. There are women doing this too. Mm-hmm. I'm not pointing the fingers at any sex, but this is a tough one, man. Mm-hmm. There's no other side to this. Don't touch kids. It's just wrong. If somebody doesn't have the mental capacity to decide for themselves what they want to do, you have no right to force yourself upon them. And the human body, you do biology. Everybody did a little biology in school, little integrated science or whatever. Mm-hmm. At a certain age, it's not ready for interaction. Mm-hmm. Now, child molestation isn't just limited to sex and penetration, but there's so much more. There's fondling, there's touching, there's just looking. There's a lot of inappropriate behavior that's linked to child molestation. And we're here to tell you, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't condone it. If your kid comes to you and tells you, hey, auntie this, uncle that, grandpa this, the man down the road came and touched me, investigate. Don't lose your temper, because that's another thing. Angry people don't make good decisions. Right. Talking from experience.
All right.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jason, as an educator, do you think that there should be more in terms of? As Dario pointed out, child molestation is not limited to minors, not necessarily genders, but it can happen to anybody. But in terms of minors, and it can even go towards or upwards to the adolescence and all of that. Now, do you think that there should be some sort of a system set up to actually explain exactly what molestation could be? Because what some people might perceive as being normal behavior might not necessarily be more normal behavior, but what do you think?
Well, I agree with you, and this is where guidance counseling comes into play. They have a class or a subject in school right now called guidance counseling, and in guidance counseling it teaches the children basically about sex and what happens, the dangers of sex, but I haven't really heard much of the molestation part, because I haven't really sat in the class to know what goes on exactly inside of that class.
So there might be more sex ed, as you say, and not
Basically more-
necessarily. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
So maybe I need to just kind of give them a little nudge, and maybe
Not maybe.
no, well, definitely give them a little nudge
I like
towards
that.
that, because you never know. While you're giving that lesson, someone in that class could be experiencing that same thing you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And that's where we have counselors in the schools.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't take these kids' confidence in you for granted.
Yep. That's a big thing. That's a big thing.
Counselors, you play a very important role.
Not just counselors though, but the parents too.
Yes, parents are counselors.
Well, true. But
All
you know,
right.
if you say counselors, it might. But I'm with you. I like that. I like
All counselors, that goes from parents, pastors, anyone who the young person sees as someone they can confide in.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
basically a counselor.
Right.
All right.
You are supposed to lead them. You will be able to tell them, okay, what's the situation? This happened. Give them advice, proper advice. Lead them know the right, because not every advice is good advice. And we all know this. Not about the three of us here.
I don't know what you're talking
okay.
about. But go ahead.
He said both at first, but we with you there.
Yeah.
All right. So in this situation, as a counselor, you're like, okay, you need one thing about being a counselor. It is hard to listen to some of these things and keep your cool.
Yeah.
That, as you were talking
But
about
you have
earlier,
to. But you have to.
you have to compose yourself, because remember, you are their pillar. They came to you for help, and if you're breaking down in front of them, who else will they turn to? Who else will they trust after such an event? So you should be able to pull up yourself and like, okay, what's the situation? Listen, how long has this been going? Have you told anyone? Why is it? Why haven't you told your father, your mother? You know, find out. Don't just ask them borderline questions. Get into it so they can open up. Because sometimes people and counselors, sometimes some of them are afraid to touch the topic. Some of them are afraid to like let the young person open up. You have to make them feel comfortable to be able to open up, speak out on it. Because if you're just telling them, okay, what's going on? Like, really, you know, you have to let them feel that you are connected to and with them. You know? So that is where I stand and what I think about with it in the education sector.
Okay. Well, for me, I think it starts at home. It definitely needs to start at home. It needs to start from trust. Trust is a big thing, especially, and I think it's been really neglected in a lot of our homes in the past. A lot of us, I'm pretty guilty of it also, that we basically gain a lot of our knowledge about life, sex, money, work, women, on the street. Our friends or villages raise us. Well, I came up in a time where the village actually raised me. Now, with how society is going now, and not to say that society was all that great back then, but a lot of things weren't as exposed as they are now. Technology is a very confusing thing. I like to tell people that I'm an analog person living in the digital world, and I still stick to that notion. I still believe that, because I wanted to find out something back in the day. I was going to go to an elder. I was going to go to somebody who I thought was a lot more experienced than myself for that particular knowledge.
Right.
Now with children nowadays, what I realize, Google doesn't necessarily solve all their problems.
And Google doesn't always
Google,
give you the
right? But the thing about it is,
told me that.
you need to find out. You basically need to build that level of trust with your children. Then you have to also let them know what molestation is. Now, molestation, child molestation can take so many different forms, as you clearly pointed out. It could be, the very obvious touching. It can actually be, subliminal, more subliminal, and more suggestive in a way. And also, what we have to understand is molestation can come from anyone. It can come from the parent. It can be by the parent. It can be by somebody that the parent actually trusts. Now, how is a child supposed to go against or basically to pull a red card on somebody that they know mommy and daddy holds to such high esteem? Now, this is what the parents need to understand. You know, the same way that I'm figuring, or well, I can understand a lot of women would tell their daughters, you know, this is your body and this is your vagina. Never ever let nobody mess with your vagina. Never let anybody, you know, interfere with you in that type of way. It should not be to the length and breadth of their peers.
Right.
It should definitely be in general. It should start there. Trust is the biggest thing, because without that trust, there would be no opening up.
Right.
There would be no, there will be no, confiding,
Very true.
There will be no confiding. And also, a lot of parents need to understand that they should not, look down on their children, not necessarily look down, but the reprimand. You have to know how to deal with these kind of things. You have to handle it with kid gloves, literally, But we're gonna touch more on this topic when we get back from our break. Thank you guys for listening to us, and remember, it's still a man's world.
They're wrong. It's not.
We'll be back.
I like that, just like the way you did that.
We'll be back.
But it's not a man's world.
If you can believe this, why can't you believe this?
Uncle tried to make me have sex.
Some mothers don't believe their own children when they say they've been sexually abused, and they don't report it. Remember, if anyone asks to see or touch their private parts, touches them inappropriately, shows them or forces them to touch one's private parts, has sex with them, shows them pornographic material, or deliberately lets them hear or see the act of sex, then it is sexual abuse. Believe your child and report the sexual abuse.
Let me touch that sweet thing. Real men protect children, not harm them. Under the Convention of the Rights of a child is anyone under the age of 18, and it's sexual abuse if you ask to see or touch their private parts, touch them inappropriately, show them or force them to touch your private parts, have sex with them, show them pornographic material, or deliberately let them hear or see the act of sex. Real men don't abuse children, and they don't encourage others to do it either. Be a real man.
This message brought to you by UNICEF at this station.
But it would mean nothing, nothing, nothing. You're not a woman or a girl.
And we're back. Welcome. It's still a man's world. I'm Jason.
I'm Naik.
Still there.
Yes, and Naik brought up a very important point in the first segment. Listen, trust. These things are very important. If your child says something happened and it's someone that you thought could never do it, listen to your child. Get in depth with the situation. Do your little research first.
Also, not to cut you off, Jason, but also we have to understand that in terms of listening to our children, we have to understand also, we have to be the lie detectors also with our children.
True.
Because
Yes,
a lot of times kids would see kids that are going through a particular problem or a particular turmoil or a particular type of dilemma, and they will see the type of attention that they're getting from people around them, the kind of urgency, the kind of care that they're getting. And then sometimes they do tend to mimic what they see and then create things. So then for the parents and for the counselors and for the teachers, it's such a hard thing also, because you still then have to have that, have that skill. You have to understand what they're saying and listen to what they're saying. And then, you have to be able to pick exactly what they're saying and to know, because sometimes, you don't want that every time they blow a red whistle, blow the whistle, and you're going to be going in all, guns blazing and everything.
True.
You have to be rational. You have to be rational. Sometimes passion takes over a situation and then it just becomes worse. you know, and then you also have to understand that, you know, and parents, we need to also let the children know that in terms of molestation, it can come not just in any form, but then from the type of authoritative figures around them. It could be a teacher. It could be. It doesn't stop from, you know, just with their peers. It could be a teacher. It could be a pastor, police officer. You have to explain that to your kids that, you know, this can come at you from any angle.
Yeah, but you know, not to, and we're gonna go back to Jason in a minute, but the kids have to know what molestation is. So you gotta talk to your kids. I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna beat this until you get it. Talk to your kids. They're not stupid. They're actually smarter than you are, to be honest. Talk to your kids. They'll get it. They gotta understand what the problem is. They can't report a problem if they don't know what that problem is. You gotta educate your kids, be interactive, develop a relationship, and from that relationship you get the trust. And then when you have the trust, then you know that they'll come to you first. They're not gonna go to their friends. They're not gonna go to, you know, somebody else on the street, or even go back to the person who's molesting them.
Or Google.
I mean, and it comes. I mean, it takes so many forms. Like my co-host said, and it might come with incentives. They might be getting something on the side if you shut up.
And it's and it messes with their mind. It messes with their mind. And I think a big part of it. It's not just about what could happen to their bodies, but then what happens to their bodies is only for like a momentary thing. Yes, it can definitely damage them. It can, you know, cause harm, but then the psychological effects of it.
And we've all seen these shows and these documentaries, and a lot of the molesters have been molested.
Exactly.
So you're starting that cycle all over again if you just don't do what you do as a parent. Do your job. Talk to your kids.
We've been here before.
Do you think, Jason? Do you think that for somebody who was convicted of molesting a child, do you think that we should actually have programs set up? Some sort of a rehabilitation program where these people can actually get help, because it is a mental sickness.
Yes. I actually do think that they should be having programs for these things. Not only that, they should also, if the person has been found as a molester or been convicted as such, you should do a background check as well. Not only of the person, but of their lineage as to how that happened to them.
Yeah.
Because if you can find exactly, not only they may be victims too, but there may be other victims that are in the same
household.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you think that convicted child molesters should, like in the United States, if they go into move from one community to the next, do you think that they should let register themselves? And
yes,
let
I think they
know?
should, because
do you think our society, being as small as it is, we can handle that? Because
in Antigua, I was just about to say, in Antigua, we are very judgmental. We are very judgmental. We are. Come on, that sarcasm was strong.
No,
the sarcasm is strong in this one.
Antigua?
But yes, we are very judgmental. Even if something happens now, say I make a blooper right now and someone says, look at him, huh?
Yeah.
He don't know what he do. He full of nonsense.
Jason does know what he's doing, people.
You understand? And looking at that, you asked a valid question. Are we ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, Antigua is not, but these are things that need to happen.
But then if a person, and I'm throwing this out to both of you. Now, if a person doesn't register himself as a molester, and he doesn't get the kind of help that he needs after serving his time to the community, to the prison system, he leaves Antigua with that sickness still unchecked, still untreated, goes to a different island, gets tempted again.
Right.
So it's going to be a vicious cycle. Do you think that rather than having it start with just Antigua, do you think it should be like a regional thing where it should be? I mean, come on, we bounce from island to island so willy-nilly.
We're CARICOM State
exactly. People. We go from island to island for carnival.
Right.
We do it for cricket.
Right.
We do it for shows. We do it for shopping.
Educational.
Everywhere.
Exactly. Even for better lives. Do you think that it should be a regional program where all the different
Registered offenders?
Not necessarily registered, like
but offenders.
the prisons and the correctional facilities. They have something in place.
But then why? Now I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think it has to be bigger than that, because if you start when the problem has already existed, then you're still gonna have a problem. Why not start from jump? Meaning that you do it from preschool, from primary school.
Like crime, don't start none, won't be none.
Yeah, so you educate these kids from early. You say, hey, this is your space. Do not allow anybody to come into your space. Right. If somebody comes into your space, then you gotta say something. You say something to somebody you trust, and it comes back to who do they trust.
Right.
So, but it has to be a holistic view. If you're only going to treat the offenders, you're not going to catch everybody. So treat everybody.
The biggest thing that I always try to tell people, they like to say that things, apples and oranges, right? Yeah. A lot of us, we're apples, and we want to consider our children to be oranges. Yeah. And I keep telling people that what children are very, very, especially what they see at home or what they're accustomed to, right, they are going to replicate. They are going to do it again. They might not show it to you, the parent, right, but to their peers, and it might not even happen when they're children. It can happen when they become adults, when they get children of their own. So I am in a total agreement with what you're saying, where it needs to be started at the ground level. Yeah. But I'm also thinking that there isn't enough that's done. Yeah, I agree. In terms of how they treat you send a child molester to the prison, what they're going to come back out with? A vocational skill?
But this is the thing. This is the thing, because the prisons this was a topic of conversation, I think either last year or the year before, about our prison, specifically in Antigua. There's no rehabilitation. It's just a housing.
Time served.
Yeah, just time served.
Time served.
What are they doing? I'm not judging, not pointing the finger or anything, but prison is not supposed to be just some place to get them out of your society. It has to be a place where you rehabilitate if they're going to come back in. If they're going to come back into society, why not rehabilitate them? What are you going to let them come back in and do?
One of the topics we're going to touch on one of our future shows is we're going to be touching on this whole thing about the prison. We're going to be talking about exactly like what's really being, because we have a lot of people who are going in as delinquents or truants, and then they're coming out seasoned. Yeah. They learn the whole trade, but that's for another time. Yeah. But in terms of, I still think that the molesters, especially when you know that somebody is a molester, what type? I don't know. Do they put them someplace different? Do they? I don't really know. I don't know the inner workings of what they're doing in the prison. I really don't want to. I really don't know. Yeah, I don't think. And I really don't want to know. They're not isolated. I think they're just basically all general.
They only isolate like dangerous and. I
think for the time you go to jail, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that because there are different circumstances that lets people go to prison. So I'm not gonna say that like once you go there, you are considered dangerous. I'm not really gonna do that, and but I really think that child molestation, it's for the most part, it was very, very, I don't want to say it's swept under the rug, but the problem is we have a lot of parents out there who are very self-righteous. They're very self-righteous. They're very, do as I say, not as I do. And a lot of the children, when they realize that, if I'm going to be reprimanded and totally, I'm going to be reprimanded to such a high degree because I dropped a glass, how am I going to nearly come and tell them that, this person touched me inappropriately?
That dictatorial relationship with the parent and the child.
Exactly.
Yeah, it has to be more of a partnership.
It needs to be reciprocal. Yeah. It needs to be more of a partnership. Now, mind you, I'm not nearly telling parents they need to be be friends with your kids.
No. But it has to be a partnership.
There has to be a partnership. There has to be some give. There has to be some level of give, and don't talk. Not talking at your kids. You have to talk to your kids. And please stop letting the teachers, who are the very, very underpaid teachers,
do everything. Do your job. Do your job. Yes. Don't let the teacher do your job.
You're having somebody highly with.
Yeah, exactly.
Highly.
You have somebody in school. You have somebody in school, and then if it does get back to the teacher, then why is it that your parents are going to look, but you know, tell the teacher? Oh,
It
man.
started home.
Oh, man.
It started home.
Even if it started at school, I'm just trying to let them know that if it started at school, you go to a home. You know, you go to a home, and then you want that kind of solace, you want that protection at home. You understand?
And I know that this topic is resonating with all of you, so we're going to give you and us a moment to catch our breaths and take a break, and we'll be back after these messages.
When it would mean nothing, nothing. You're not a woman or a girl.
And we're back. I'm Jason.
I'm Naik.
I'm Dario.
And we're still on the topic, molestation. Quick recap. Parents, talk to your kids, listen to your kids. Enlighten them as to what it is, what molestation is. What is it to be touched wrong? What is it to be spoken to in an improper manner? These things, you know, we have to make sure that our kids are educated. We also have to educate ourselves as to look for signs without even having to hear from them.
Do your research. Do your own research.
Not only research, do your job.
Do your job.
You're a parent.
I like it.
Look after your kids. Look out for your kids.
Right?
Child molestation. Don't start none, won't be none.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's it.
Yeah.
But definitely, build that trust. Build that relationship that your children can come to you in the event that they know that something is going wrong, something feels uncomfortable to them. Let you be the first person that they go to. You know, they're not going to necessarily get the best type of advice on the street from their friends. And we have to remember, their friends are the same age as them. You know, as they might be introverts, they might be a little bit more, you know, a lot more shy and stuff like that. Their friend might be a little bit more boisterous, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their friends know more than them.
Friends are stupid.
Friends are stupid. You know, we
That's
all
why
have
we have a lot
stupid
of them.
friends. So build that trust with your children. Child molestation, don't start none, won't be none.
Now, when I say friends are stupid, it's not really tongue in cheek. I mean, a friend might be smart, a friend might give good advice, but we've all been in groups, and that's when a lot of the stupid stuff really happens. But the most important thing, develop a relationship with your kids. That is A1, number one. There's nothing else.
Steak sauce.
Do your job. Do your job. Start from birth. And speaking about birth, you gotta, don't give your kid to everybody. Don't let kids get too comfortable being touched.
Exactly.
You know, you gotta develop a relationship and an understanding.
They're your kids.
They're your kids. You know,
Raise them.
Educate your kids.
Do
let them
your
know.
job.
Let them know from early. Watch TV with your children. Do not let the internet and the television raise your kids. That is a dangerous, dangerous thing. Watch. You know, we're gonna get on that on another day. But when my daughter was younger, I sat down and watched SpongeBob with her. Terrible thing. Watch TV with your kids, talk to your kids, educate your kids.
SpongeBob's bad?
SpongeBob's a pedophile.
Yes, he is.
Talk to your kids about everything. Talk to them like you talk to your friends, but you know, you gotta censor some stuff. But you know, this was a tough one. This was a really, really tough one. And I know it hit home for some of you. It's tough. I don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words, I really am.
Anyway, we just want to thank you guys for being here with us this evening while we talk about molestation. I want you to check our page, like,
comment,
and share.
At It's a Man's World CVN, that's our Facebook page. Watch us every night like you're doing now, channel 100 and Flow, 8 p.m. every Tuesday. Every Tuesday we'll be here with you, giving you, you know, our bits of knowledge.
Keep watching, we'll give you all snacks.
Some humor.
Deliciousness.
Yeah, and a money back guarantee if you're not entertained.
That's all on him.
But talk to your kids and stop child molestation.
Thanks. Good night.
See y'all next week.
Good night.
I'm on order.